I just wanted to share something inspiring. I had a great meeting with Ukrainian military. I'm working on an article about an innovation which will hopefully help to bring victory for Ukraine faster. And they told me that they see the positive side to Trump's betrayal, which they clearly see as betrayal. They said that A, Europe woke up finally, and B, Ukrainians, frankly, are more united and more even inspired to fight through the end and stand up together so they can decide when they elect their president and at the time that they want to elect their president. So it's all good and the victory is coming.
Dictator without elections. Zelensky better move fast or he's not going to have a country left.
Mr. President, do you still think that Mr. Zelensky is a dictator?
Did I say that? I can't believe I said that. Next question.
Dictator without elections.
Dictator without elections. Dictator without elections. Dictator without elections.
Did I say that?
Let's go to downtown, tell me what you're seeing. Tell me what it's like to get the all-core feeling. Spend all night just looking at the ceiling. Living in a blown-out hotel building. All the machines are broken down. It's a narrow path between evil and good. Watch the strong man in his decline. Another man dying is misunderstood. Oh, let's see your damnation. Oh, what's gone to hell? Oh, let's see your damnation. Oh, what's gone to hell? Don't see things the way they were. Only see things the way they are now. Realize now that it's gone too far. Look into the eyes of the dead and gone now. All the machines are broken down. It's a song and dance between evil and good. Early stages of final decline. All alone, misunderstood. All I see is damnation. Oh, what's gone to hell? All I see, damnation. Oh, what's gone to hell? Oh, what's gone to hell? Oh, what's gone to hell? Oh, what's gone? Oh, what's gone? Oh, what's gone? Oh, what's gone to hell?
Whole world's going to hell. Yeah, it is.
What a hell of a way to open the show. Well done, High Fidelity. I'm Heidi Kuda. I'm with Jim Stewartson and Hi-Fi. It's Radpod and Not So Chill. So glad to see you guys. So glad we opened with Serena. Nice job, Hi-Fi. We have a wonderful show coming up with a lot of really great clips from Leonard Leo whistleblower, Tom Carter. And Jim, why don't you kick us off, bro?
I don't know. You can say a lot of things about Hi-Fi, but you can't say he doesn't have good taste in music.
Right, I do.
All right. See, now you got to ruin everything. That's the thing.
That is also what I do. I ruin everything.
That is true. That is true. Fair.
Boy can't help it. Boy can't help it.
Living up to your reputation. Anyway, I don't know where to fucking start with.
I know.
With all of this.
Hey, let's start talking about some rapists that got that left Romania and ended up in Florida.
Yeah, I mean, I've been needling Maga about this. Like a British Muslim pimp, right? Who admits to child rape, who is accused of human trafficking, who makes a living grifting incels into how to pimp out women, often, or girls. He is one of the most vile and despicable rapists on earth. And Donald Trump used the power of the government of the United States to pressure Romania, which is currently in a massive, which is, having to arrest presidential candidates who are, assets of the Russian government and whatnot. They've got plenty of shit to deal with, right? They don't need to deal with Donald Trump trying to get them to free Andrew and Tristan Tate. So they did. And now, not only did they free them, they landed in Florida, right? On the same day that the release of the Epstein files is binders to Jack Posobiec and Mike Cernovic. Right? I mean, it is like a intentional sort of in your face, and I wrote a whole thing about this called naked fascism, right? It's when this motherfucker's daring you to call him what he is. When he gets this little incel half trillionaire to get up in a cabinet meeting and be the only person to talk who's not even in the government at all, much less in the cabinet. So, it's just one of these, surreal fucking weeks. And I tried to write a bit of more of a cerebral piece about how I really hope these sort of, in the big picture, the bubble of liberal naivete is bursting forever, right? You know what I mean? I'm a liberal, but I also am a militant fucking liberal. I'm not gonna fucking roll over for this shit. And I think there are a lot of people who are, basically in the position I am, which is the following. Maga intentionally voted in somebody who tried to hang the vice president in order to stay in power. The Democrats had 4 fucking years to do something about it and did not. So I think there are a bunch of us out here who are just like, all right, look, these people are telling us what they are. We have absolutely and utterly failed to do anything about it. And I feel a little bit black-pilled. Look it up if you don't know about the whole situation. Like, these motherfuckers are burning this down. So, I think those of us who are ready to actually fight this war, and I mean violently, but as it were, I think are genuinely starting to like straighten up the backbone a little bit and be like, all right, okay, I guess this really is what's happening here, and we're gonna have to get together and fix it ourselves because no one is coming to rescue.
No. We were abandoned on the battlefield a long time ago. One thing I want to say about the Andrew Tate situation is birds of a feather. So it stands, to reason that that these people would be helping themselves out. The other thing I want to say is I know more moms in grief over the damage that man has inflicted on young people globally. The numbers are staggering. And I just bring that up because all these people who are so, ensnared in QAnon and spreading all of the QAnon conspiracies don't seem to have a problem with Andrew Tate, somebody who absolutely was arrested for human trafficking and the sexual assaults of young women. So it's like, never quite understood it, but of course have totally understood it because it doesn't have to make any sense for it to be effective. Yes, high fidelity.
I just need to point a little something out to the audience, and maybe they can repeat this to other people. QAnon talks about saving the children. Let's just take a look here. Trump was good friends with Epstein. Of course, they'll try to twist that. Hey, weren't we supposed to get the Epstein files? What happened to that? Anyone? Anyway, let's talk about Andrew Tate being a rapist and trafficking young women. Let's talk about Jean-Luc Brunel. Let's talk about Matt Gaetz. Let's talk. I mean, the list goes fucking on and on. How many J6 protesters got hit with freaking CSAM? It keeps going and it keeps going. And I don't know. And we talked to Tom about the Catholic Church. We talked about the pedophilia and the human trafficking in the Catholic Church under Opus Dei. And the list is extensive. The list is so extensive that there's even an operation out there listing all the Republicans who have been caught, for child sexual abuse material. They've been caught attempting to meet underage people for sex. They've been caught for having.
So can I just bring up that why are we in this fucking situation to begin with? 2016, right? Motherfucker got in there the first place, and all of this happened. What was one of the ways that happened? Jack Posobiec, that same guy who's got a binder of the Epstein files, right, was a leader of MAGA 3X. And now this is important because MAGA 3X was funded by Peter Thiel, who owns JD Vance, among half the fucking cabinet, right?
Josh Hawley.
And what did MAGA 3X do? Created lies and propaganda about pedophiles, about child trafficking, about child rape. And who was the target? Hillary Clinton and the Democrats. Remember, Jack Posobiec was the one who was in the pizza parlor that got shot up by a dude with an AR-15 who was in there looking for the kids because Jack Posobiec and Donald Trump were saving the children. Anybody remember all that? So there's a reason. There's a very good reason why the projection, why the propaganda of QAnon, Pizzagate, on and on. Just look at Elon Musk's feed. It's all pedophiles and, all about all of this shit, but pointed at all exactly the wrong people.
Right.
And as always, you have to ask yourself, especially when you're dealing with Nazis, when they're accusing other people of things, what does that mean according to, the original Nazis themselves? It means that you're doing it yourself, right? And that's what all of this is. And, again, it's beyond disgusting. We're a month in out of 4 years here.
Wow.
And I just, for me, again, I am now in the mode of, okay, I don't even know what the hell, how this is going to unravel over the next bit, but it's gonna, and starting to think about, okay, what are our options as we the people, as this thing rolls on, because they have made absolutely no mistake about their intentions.
No, of course not. And meanwhile, their fearless leader, Vladimir Putin, has actually been charged for human trafficking of young children from Ukraine. And that's from the International Court in The Hague, the ICC. So all we have to do is follow the patterns. And of course, we have a convicted felon who is orchestrating these maneuvers in America. And I think it's important to never forget it, because when you have access journalists afraid to stand up with their, colleagues who are being banned, such as the story that occurred this week with the AP that Tom talks about in our interview. We interviewed Tom Carter, Leonard Leo whistleblower, episode 128. We're going to show highlights. I'd actually like to kick off with one of the first clips if we can, because I want to kind of set the tone and get Jim talking about the subject matter.
Here we go.
The first thing I'd like to say, though, is yesterday I took a walk up to the Capitol. It's about 10 blocks from my house. Marjorie Taylor Greene was out there braying. Some other Doge, members of Congress were talking about the Taliban. I wasn't sure if they were talking about the Afghan Taliban or the Christian Taliban in the red states. But a couple of things. It was a beautiful day. And there's a case before the Supreme Court today about reverse discrimination. A woman was fired from her job or lost her job, demoted, whatever, and she blames the fact that they put LGBTQ in her place. And so I was talking to the reporters who were covering that, and I said, have you ever heard of Leonard Leo? And none of them had. It was, it's always surprising, but not shocking anymore, that the people that are, standing in front of the Supreme Court, writing about Supreme Court issues, and they don't know Leonard Leo put 6 extreme right-wing Catholic integralists on the Supreme.
The court is fucking stacked, kids. And when did we see that becoming important? Oh, we saw that important just, what was it, today? When
because it was yesterday, John Roberts stopped billions of dollars of aid from going to starving kids, AIDS victims, Ebola prevention. Which, by the way, let's break that down in case anybody missed it. Elon Musk got up there, and as some sort of assurance that he had that everything was fine in Doggy Land, that, you see, we made a little mistake and cut Ebola prevention funding, but we immediately fixed it. Couple things. if you accidentally cut Ebola prevention, you're incompetent and you need to be fired instantly. Anyone in any business, you do some shit like that, you get fired. Period. End of story. Second of all, he didn't, as Rachel and many others have been reporting. He did nothing of the sort. In fact, this money, is there to prevent it. Second, think about why he's trying to cover up for this particular thing. Because at the same time, it has also been simultaneously reported that 400,000 kids are at risk of starvation right now, because of that money. Black kids. So think about this. What is it about Ebola killing? Who does that kill? Who could that kill? That could kill a bunch of white people, right? Ooh, we're scared of Ebola. White people are. But the 400,000 black kids who are going to die because of this little Nazi, that doesn't even get a mention. He's not even bothering to cover it up. So I just want to point out what really lies beneath this stuff. Because until we collectively come to grips with the fact that no, seriously, this is genocidal. It's not an accident. It is a feature, not a bug, that hundreds of thousands of black kids will die. And until we sort of stop pretending that this isn't actual fascism, and by that I mean the Hitler kind, not even the Mussolini kind. And oh, by the way, can I say one last thing? Donald Trump had a press conference after canceling the White House Correspondents Association after 111 years, right? And oh shit, where was I going with that? Okay. So he I can't remember.
Let me cue you back up. You were talking about the fact that they it had to do with media. He canceled the White House. He had a press conference. No worries, Jim. You got
Instead of the
this.
correspondent dinner.
Yeah, it's
He held
okay.
the press conference.
I'm lost and I give up. It'll come to me in about 20 seconds.
We'll bring you back.
Can we just talk about how it's the okay? Here's the thing.
Well,
right?
well, wait.
You got it.
Oh, you got it now?
Yeah.
So.
That's no worries, man.
It's always just I have to get very high before these things because otherwise I will just lose my shit.
We understand.
So you should get high during.
Well, no, because then I can't talk at all. You know, like oh yeah, you just sit there and wait for the Peter Thiel moment.
Oh no!
I have no idea what you're talking about.
So while Jim organizes his thoughts again, it's just like, you know, there used to be a time when I was super uncomfortable with how fast and loose we used certain terminology simply because, you know, again, I read a lot of history books and want to be specific. By now, everybody should have seen these guys do Nazi salutes. So I think that they're telling us to our faces what is happening. So ergo, no neos here. This is Nazi stuff. This is when, you know, when we realize we can't have nice things anymore. Jim,
that's
go
a
ahead.
great segue because now I remember.
Go do it. No
So,
more dead air.
I'll tell you why I forgot, right? Because when we talk about fascism, we almost always go to Hitler. But let's go back a little bit earlier to Mussolini and Ruth Ben-Ghiat, who taught us especially about Mussolini a long time ago. Donald Trump had a press conference after canceling the White House Correspondents Association and had passed out hats with the phrase, Trump was right about everything. Now, Mussolini had a slogan as well, if I can remember, ha siempre Raggiano, I think, or il duce ha sempre Raggiano, which is the leader is always right. And had a giant marble mural that said Mussolini is always right on the outside of, you know, whatever Mussolini Hall. And dude just is handing out Mussolini hats while he's canceling the press, which, by the way, was something that Mussolini sort of taught Hitler how to do. It was one of the main things that Mussolini did extremely well, was both the actual propaganda of fascism, but also at the elimination of the press, of the free press, I should say, as a boundary to him, basically creating a reality for the masses that made him the only law, which was basically what he was.
Well, thank you for that.
Thank you for being patient. Well, I had a brain fart, but I explained my brain fart, so hopefully that makes it.
Listen, you're taking in so much information to relay to all of us that it's not surprising. And also, we got you, man. I just want to bring up something we talked about in Tom Carter's interview with us how French journalists covering Monday's meeting between Trump and Macron pushed to have a Paris-based AP reporter ask the first question at a press conference in defiance of the White House decision to shut the AP out of official events. And I bring that up because that's how you're supposed to do it, media. You don't just cower when these things happen. You stand in solidarity with your colleagues. And when Tom Carter asked a Washington Post reporter why everybody didn't walk out when AP was banned, that reporter said, well, we need to be able to have access. Well, what do you have access to? All you're doing is parroting propaganda, which you can get off the internet anyway, because someone's going to have video of it. So, what is your purpose? And here, at least the French get it. They gave AP the first question. So, kudos to them for showing how it's done.
I
High
love that.
fidelity. I know, me too.
Can I mention the opposite of that bravery by our colleagues and by the AP? Speaking of the Washington Post, if people didn't notice, the opinion editor of the Washington Post walked out, which is a brave thing to do and the absolute right thing to do. But the reason is very terrifying. My hometown paper, this is really personal to me because I literally, I can smell it. I literally learned to read in the jumble. We had a jumble in the comics section. Every single day I did the jumble with my great aunt when I lived with her for years. And one of the reasons I learned how to read. And this fucking asshole with his segues or whatever. It's a different guy, I know, but is gonna roll in here, and ruin the paper and literally tell the opinion editor that not all opinions matter. The only opinions that matter are mine. The only opinions I'm interested in are free markets and personal liberties. What's that sound like? Some fucking Maga, dark enlightenment bullshit. Have you seen this guy, by the way, recently? Dude is like all dressed up like a space alien half the time and shit. He's competing with Elmo for deviant fucking old weirdo. And I think, what it speaks to, is a very, very deep and dark problem that's going to take very difficult out of the box solutions.
Yes.
We've got a bunch of psychopaths running all our shit.
Yeah.
It's really that simple. Who are competing with each other to be like the first trillionaire.
Yeah.
That's what's happening here. They don't give a fuck about anything. It's a big game. And unfortunately, they've built these towers for themselves, and it's gonna take, metaphorically, people with fucking pitchforks to bring it down.
And be hard. I would like to say Timothy Snyder did a great job of trying to take it down in his most recent post. Of course, he's
I
the
love that
professor
one.
who wrote On Tyranny. In his most recent post, the great scholar Timothy Snyder wrote a Washington Post submission. I'm writing today in support and defense of personal liberties and free markets. I'm writing today in support and defense of personal liberties and free markets. I'm writing today in support and defense of personal liberties and free markets. And he repeats that hundreds of times. We love you, Tim Snyder. Go, man. You rock, man.
Here's the thing,
That,
though.
that
A
was
lot
my
of
favorite
people,
email I've gotten in a long time.
what a lot of people fail to realize about personal liberty and free markets is that those things only exist with the rule of law. And that's always been one thing America's been kind of good at. but not really. It was always kind of rigged. But anyway, the legal system, right? That we are all theoretically equal in the eyes of the law, and as we have seen, that does not apply to quite a few people. I mean, Trump pardoned people who physically assaulted the police on January
Yeah,
6th,
it's not funny.
2021.
It's not funny. Yeah.
No, it's not. I mean, the guy whose bodyguard had, what did he have? $10,000, $100,000, something. He had a bunch of cash in a hidden safe. The presidential candidate who was backed by Russia,
Yeah.
he was arrested. Georgia is still protesting against their billionaire Russian connected. I mean, I don't understand why people don't see that it's the same play over and over and over. They stick the billionaires in, and then they use that billionaires' money to grab a hold of media, grab a hold of social media, right? I'm talking, when I say they, I mean authoritarian governments like Russia, China, Saudi Arabia, UAE.
But high five.
Yes.
But now we don't have to worry about that because they're going to be able to pay $5 million to get a U.S. passport.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. So they'll have American citizens who paid their $5 million for the golden passport.
So they'll be able to be both like UAE and American. As long as they have $5 million bucks, it'll be fine.
The Russian spies.
By the way, do you know the other country that does exactly the same thing? Except it's not remotely as lenient as they're talking about, is Malta.
Yeah, Malta. They do that in Malta. And what happened in Malta? Oh, they had a reporter assassinated by one of these business mobsters. Oh, hey, you know who else does golden passport? Dominica, the country of Dominica. Guess who was running that? Why, that would be a fellow by the name of Paolo Zampoli. And who is Paolo Zampoli, you ask? Why, that's the fellow who introduced Melania to Donald Trump, who also hung out with Eric Adams, who was taking money.
It's okay. I wasn't in the middle of a fucking sentence or anything.
Hi-Fi never
Sorry.
forgets.
I'm high.
Hey,
My bad.
No. It's all cool. Listen, it's really good that we're looking globally.
No, we're fine.
My dudes. It's so cool that we're looking globally right now because I want to get to the next clip from Tom, because what we talked to him about was the global schism, and we talked about that faction in the Catholic Church that is lobbying for a extremist nutter pope right now with the current pope ailing. So why don't we go ahead and see that clip?
That's scary, yeah.
Kevin Roberts, who Leonard Leo and a guy named Robbie George from Princeton, another right-wing Catholic, basically put in charge of the Heritage Foundation to run Project 2025, which, there's all the focus on Musk and Trump implementing Project 2025 now. But the guy who wrote it and the guy who ran it are Leonard Leo people. And that is pretty much missed. Anyway, Kevin Roberts, who is watching his 900-page Project 2025 go into effect, all the cuts, the trauma that they're causing the government workers, Medicaid, Medicare, SNAP, all of this stuff is it's Leonard Leo's plan. And of course, it's other people's plan as well, but he is the face of Project 2025 that most reporters miss. Anyway, last week, Kevin Roberts was in Madrid hanging out with Spanish neo-Nazis, the Vox party. Then he jumped over to London to run around and hang out with Nigel Farage and a right-wing conference that took place in London. This was a few days after J.D. Vance was in Munich, basically declaring that the world that was created after World War II is over. It's no more NATO, no more US. It's all Putin these days. So anyway, both J.D. Vance and Kevin Roberts are part of the what I refer to as the Leonard Leo Opus Dei Catholic right. It's basically 30% of the U.S. Catholic populations, and they oppose Pope Francis.
You know who else is part of this group is the PayPal mafia, right? There is a unholy crossover between Leonard Leo, Opus Dei, and Peter Thiel. Goes back to the 80s. I've documented this very thoroughly. The attack on U.S. democracy, by factions of the Catholic Church has been going on for many, many, many decades, right? The sort of innovation, as it were, was that Peter Thiel took this basically simultaneously cozied up to Opus Dei and the radical arm of the Catholic Church, and attacked Silicon Valley at the same time with the same basic ideology, just using different ways of talking about the same shit. When you get down to it, right? Opus Dei is just the religious version of Francoism. Quite literally. Right? And the Dark Enlightenment is just a tech bro friendly version of Francoism and Nazism and all the same shit. The basic fundamental belief that not all people are created equal. That is the fundamental difference between, and the thing that liberals don't get. It's why building a system on norms and institutions doesn't fucking work. And, I just wrote a thing about that. Was the big failure, is that instead of taking the hardcore work that FDR did and solidifying that into law and progressing the union forward, we relied on ancient ideas and customs to hold it up for us. And to me, that is the single greatest failure. And I think, of liberalism. And I don't mean that liberalism is a failure. I mean, the execution of liberalism by the current establishment, and by the way it's been done, it's just too weak. And we're going to need a more, as I put it, militant version of liberalism.
Well, and we're suffering the consequences of it. The soundbite that we're not going to hear from Tom, because we had to make room for a few other things we chose, was how a lot of these extremists that we're enduring right now are propping up for a potential pope. Somebody named Raymond Burke, who both of you guys are familiar with, Pope Francis's biggest critic, anti-vaxxer, who would be the first.
Malta.
Who would be the first American pontiff, and it's just you look at the list of things that he's opposed to, and it's everything that's decent, and everything that's been sort of revolutionary. Hello, boys.
So Raymond Burke was head of the Knights of Malta. I've been yelling about these fucking people for years. Raymond Burke was the head of the Knights of Malta when Pope Francis was like, yo, you guys are insane, and literally decommissioned them. Like, I remember
stripped him of his Rome apartment. Pope Francis did.
Yes. Like him and Vigano are the same guy, right? These bonkers, tradcath, Nazi fucking priests who see their job to create a schism in the Catholic Church, to destroy it, and generally speaking are working for the Russians.
I would also like to point out,
Burke, I know a lot, just give me a minute. Burke also almost this close died of COVID because he's an actual believer in this shit, and that's important. So Vigano, Burke, and Stephen K. Bannon had a project together to create a neo-Nazi fascist training camp in Italy. The place, again, where Mussolini invented Italian fascism. Because that's what they wanted to bring back. That's what this guy Burke is. One of the most terrifying and despicable priests on planet Earth. If they're pushing this guy in there, boy howdy, man. I as soon as I heard the Pope wasn't feeling good, I was like waiting for colored smoke right now is too fucking on the nose, even for this timeline. So can we not do that? Sorry.
Thank you, Jim. High fidelity.
Sorry. You got me triggered with the whole Burke thing.
I knew I would.
It's terrifying.
You left two things out about Cardinal Raymond Burke. Two things. Direct fucking connection.
I left a lot of things out.
Well, yeah, all right, fair enough. About in 2017 and again in 2020, Raymond Burke, using his pulpit, called for the sanctification of Russia to the Virgin Mary. After they had gone into Crimea with the Spetsnaz, after, well, the war crimes got really bad in 2022. I don't know when you'd even call it, but honestly, I think Russia's whole thing is a fucking war crime.
Well, I mean, that's what you have to know. Look, there are factions of religion, and honestly, especially Catholic Church, that, I mean, right? It's not these religious, very large religious organizations are not separated from people at large. And so when you combine religion with the same kind of ideas, so listen, let's be clear. Like Vigano got excommunicated. I don't think Burke actually got excommunicated. But like Vigano, I've got multiple sermons where he's talking about the aforementioned Pizzagate in his fucking robes, like speaking with his Italian accent in English that like Posobiec or somebody wrote down, right? Like, we're so far from, anything holy or spiritual. If the Catholic Church goes that way, we've got a whole different holy war. Because remember, these people want a holy war. That's the entire goal. They want to rip this whole thing out. And in order to do that, they need holy war. They need all the bad things. And if the church itself goes dark,
Yeah, so I think there, as you were saying, it's seems to be part of what is being planned by some of these evil menaces. So just super quick, just to clarify what you both were saying. Francis became so at odds with Burke, he stripped him of his role as the head of the Catholic courts. That's the panel that chooses judges, and of course his free room apartment, which is no longer free. And obviously, he is the least likely cardinal that Francis would want to see take the helm, succeed himself.
That was his honorary role that he was given after he was stripped of being the head of the Sovereign Military Order of Malta, which is otherwise known as the Knights of Malta. He was stripped of that and then given this honorary thing to try and make him feel better, and he even fucked that up, and the Pope's just like, get out of Rome.
For the 70% of the Catholic Church that is not part of this extremist faction, be aware. This was really an important conversation. Be aware. Hi-Fi, let's see the next clip from Tom.
What are we on now? 3 or 4? I lost count. 4?
You cropped 3, so it should be number 4. Not the last.
When did it become okay in America to hand somebody like Leo $1.3 billion and say, go ahead and do whatever you want to destroy the world in which we have known, the country that we have known, the freedoms that we have known? I still don't understand why overturning Roe wasn't enough to mobilize everybody against the faction in America that made that happen. But clearly, we memory hold too much. But when was it okay? I understand the faith and the kind of extremist nature of this, but what happened?
I would argue it's always been okay. That going back to the writing of the Constitution, when they baked it, they put into it about the racist stuff about black people, 3/5 of a vote and all of that kind of stuff. And I basically, if you look around at what Doge is doing and Leo and it's all, every single bit of it goes back to what I call white trash supremacy. It's very, very much a matter of the white trash supremacy is losing its privilege, and they're throwing a temper tantrum now. And whether you were looking at the Civil War, or whether you were looking at Reconstruction or Jim Crow afterwards, all of this stuff is about returning to before the New Deal, back to Jim Crow America, when white people had certain privileges, and now they're trying to remove whatever stepping stones we gave to black people, to women, to minorities. They want those stepping stones gone, so that people like Hegseth, who is a drunkard idiot in running the Pentagon now. I mean, he's the guy that's going to decide whether protesters get shot. They just removed all the lawyers, and also one other thing, it was 1.6 billion, not 1.3 billion. And you're right, it's no strings attached. It's all about going after the media. It's going after entertainment. Go after everything. They're trying to change the entire world back to.
Okay, so can we talk about Pete Hegseth in this context for a second? Because you've seen his tats, right? So we were talking about Burke and the Knights of Malta, right? Pete Hegseth's tats are from the Knights Templar, who fought alongside the Knights of Malta in the Crusades, right? He's got Deus Vult on his bicep. That means God wills it, which is the last thing that he said at his confirmation hearing. Also, by the way, most people didn't catch that. He said the Crusaders chant at the end of his confirmation hearing to be sec death. Now, Leonard Leo is not only a member of Opus Dei, which people know, but people also don't know that he is a Knight of Malta, proudly a Knight of Malta. Briefly, for those who don't know, the Knights of Malta have been around for 1,000 fucking years, and in World War II, worked with the OSS, the precursor to the CIA, to effectively help Nazis. And the reason is because they agreed with the Nazis at one point, which was that the commies and the Jews which they conflated as the same thing, were bad, and so they ended up doing a lot of business with the Nazis, including Operation Paperclip, which brought a bunch of them over to America, which sounds familiar. And side note, as I've written, and some of you may know, one of those Nazis who came over in Operation Paperclip was a guy named Werner von Braun. And so happens he wrote a sci-fi book that had a character in it named the Elon, who was a dictator of a Martian colony, and his father admits that he named him after him. A Nazi science fiction book.
It's really weird.
So fucking weird. That's
weird.
the thing. It's so weird.
weird.
So
It's
weird.
so
We have to
weird.
stop being
It's
so
so
weird.
weird.
I'm tired. I've always
weird.
thought of myself as kind of an eccentric fellow, but Jesus, I like so normal feeling. Like, my God, what's going on? What's wrong with you?
We needed protection from these people. I go back to what Nancy McLean said in our last interview. We needed protection from these people. We needed protection from these billionaires.
We asked for it. We did. We begged for it.
We begged. We begged.
We did their work for them. We're like, oh, we know you're busy.
We
Here's all
delivered
the
the
work.
speeches.
Here, we did all the work. We did the
letters,
speeches.
In their own words, this is what they're
mobilized
doing.
thousands of people. Not enough, man. But here we are, soldiering on. Let's see another clip from Tom.
Can be small acts of resistance. The U.S. Army chorus at the White House Marcone dinner came in and sang the song from Les Mis about the people rising up and overthrowing tyrants. And I mean, talk about brilliant five-star trolling. I wonder if all of those Army folks are going to get fired today, because they did it right to his face. And I mean, and anybody who knows Les Mis knows exactly what they were singing and what they were singing about. And, you know, God.
And if you don't know what, if you don't know Les Mis, the song is "Do You Hear the People Sing?" and the opening lines are, "Do you hear the people singing the song of angry men? It is the music of the people who will not be slaves again."
Right.
So
I'm just looking at the Raps headline. Army choir sparks confusion after performing Les Mis protest song. It's like, man,
that's a pretty straight up fucking message right
I
there.
don't know why you're confused. I don't know why you're confused. And you know, I mean, so, you know, and it's good to make light of these things, but at the same time, the Army is now hunting transgender people in the military who are serving their country, literally hunting for them inside of the military to fire them.
Yeah. None of this stuff is, it's nothing
nice. The first line of Niemöller's poem, you know, really should have been trans people. Literally the first people they went after. Do you don't know Niemöller? He wrote you know, and then they came for.
Yeah, first they came for the communists.
Yeah.
Anywho.
Anywho.
Speaking of communists, Alex Alvarova's latest Substack has a great recap on how the Czech communists are just absolutely enamored of Donald Trump. So if you think this ever had anything to do with ideology, oh my God, the horseshoe is in full effect.
Here's a fun one. Hat tip Gregor Lear. So I don't know if people noticed, but Joe Wilson did a legislation to put Donald Trump's face on the $250 bill. What the fuck? What? 200 and why? What? Well, if you look up at, again, had to go there. If you look up what bill has ever had 250, the 250 ruble bill in 1917. Now, a couple of things about that. 1917 is literally when the Bolshevik Revolution was rounding up the Tsarist regime. After the Bolshevik Revolution, the one that they're always yelling about, right? Also, if you flip the 250 ruble Soviet communist banknote, important, Soviet communist banknote is the only 250 anything ever. In 1917, if you flip it over, guess what there is? There's a double eagle, which is the Romanov eagle, and behind it is a fucking swastika. So, one thing to know about you may be like, what? 1917 Russia, huh? So the Romanovs, little known fact, used a lot of swastikas in their imagery. But it was a left-pointing swastika. There was a difference. Used in Hindu, Sanskrit, all kinds of shit for thousands of years. The left one. What the Bolsheviks did, which the Nazis copied from the Bolsheviks, and that's important, was flipped it to the right. And that right pointing swastika is what is on the back of the 1917 fucking 250 ruble note, which is the only possible reference to Representative Joe Wilson's bizarre, what the fuck are you doing here, Joe? Welp, now you know.
I just, in my Betty Dangerous Substack, I just wrote something called Espionage for the People and predicted that, any time now the statues of Trump will be appearing in front of post offices. And when they do, there will be cameras, folks. So get ready to be, learning from previous eras under Soviet rule, how to behave under regimes like this.
He loves the communists, by the way. Did anybody see him?
Irony of all things.
Like chatting up Xi. He's like, at the same time, he's like, he literally said, like, Xi and I are good friends. I don't like to say the China virus anymore. It's like, wait.
Yeah.
He said
Yeah.
lots of money coming in. Xi and I are friends. I don't like to call it the China virus anymore. So
Yeah.
wait, is it that it's not the China virus anymore, or that you're paying the man that you actually believe sent over a disease that killed a million Americans? Like, which is it? It doesn't matter.
It'll just go whichever way the wind blows, whichever way he feels good in the moment. Like we don't even know.
That's the thing. Neither way,
Yeah.
the fact that there's so many ways that it's bad means it just.
Yeah. Well, all I know is I learned a lot. I'm so grateful to both of you for the work that you do. So grateful to our guests who keep coming on our show despite the time that we live in, which is a time of terrible peril for truth tellers. And High Fidelity, do you have anything queued up for us to take us out?
Yeah. Just I want everyone to understand that when the Nazis took power in Germany, they went after the disabled. They went after the elderly. Those who were culturally different. And if I see a lot of people talking about, oh, look at what all these politicians are doing. I haven't seen these politicians do shit. The courts are being defied. The Supreme Court is obviously on the side of the fascists. I don't know, maybe it's time for people to start thinking seriously about what they're going to do, because one way or another, the fascists are bound to lose.
I'm gonna tell you, fascists, and you may be surprised, but the people of this world, well, we're getting organized. You're bound to lose, you fascists, bound to lose. Oh, you fascists, bound to lose. I said, all you fascists, bound to lose. Yes, sir, all you fascists, bound to lose. You're bound to lose. You fascists, bound to lose. You raise hatred, greed, and lies, and misogyny, you got to go. All you fascists and you Nazis, well, here's a thing or two you should know. You're bound to lose. Oh, you fascists are bound to lose. Saying, I don't care what women want, I'm gonna do it anyway. It's really not the kind of thing anyone should think or say. You're bound to lose. You fascists bound to lose. Oh, you fascists bound to lose. I said, all you fascists bound to lose. Yes, sir, all you fascists bound to lose. You're bound to lose. You fascists bound to lose. We people of every color, we're standing side by side. We're marching to stop you fascists and to honor those who died. You're bound to lose. You fascists bound to lose. And we're going into this battle even though you've got your precious gun. And we'll end your lies and hatred by the time this battle's won. You're bound to lose. You fascists bound to lose. Oh, you fascists bound to lose. I said, all you fascists bound to lose. Yes, sir, all you fascists bound to lose. You're bound to lose. You fascists bound to lose.